What's up? This is The Pitch, and we have a little surprise for you, so stay tuned.
Welcome to another episode of The Pitch. I'm back, maybe just for this week, maybe for future weeks.
Hopefully.
Might do a 4-person thing.
But
We'll see.
Beatom's is back.
We'll see what happens.
Possibly shoot outside in a couple weeks.
That's going to be really
bigger
cool.
table. Yeah.
So, jumping right into this, we have a jam-packed episode for you guys. The Bruins were down 1-0. Now they're up 2-1 in the series. The Sharks are looking to finally get a win in the series and make it 2-1. And also, both games in the NBA are locked up at 1-1. So, we're going to start with the Bruins. Yeah, up 2-1 on Tampa. So, thoughts on the series, Mitch?
Yeah. Speaking of back, Bergeron's back. He was back big in Game 3.
Yeah.
You can see his defense. 2-0. Tim Thomas with a shutout against the Lightning. If you can shut out St. Louis, Stamkos, and LeCavalier, that says something right there. Guy Boucher at Tampa Bay, he's having great coaching right here. The 1-3-1's really working, but I think Bergeron, you could tell, after that pawn hockey game in Game 2, in Game 3, he really showed his defense, showed why he was a Selke candidate, and he's really showing up in the series. And Tyler Seguin, the series saver for the first 2 games, he had 4 points in the second period in Game 2. Yeah. He was absolutely huge, and that offense is what the Bruins needed. And their one weakness is they don't have a big sniper there, and I think Tyler Seguin is going to be their future sniper. And right now we're seeing him right now in the present, and he's putting on the show.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the kid's a teenager. He's my age. He's only 19, and for
he's
him,
only a few months older than us.
He scored that goal in the Game 1 loss, right?
He did. Yep. And he almost scored again in Game 3, too, but it went to Ferentz. Went right out of Rolison's legs. Rolison's looking really good, too. Tim Thomas is looking good. Claude Julien, he made a perfect lines this series in 1 through 3. The way he put in Seguin with Ryder, I think that is really working out. He's sticking with Lucic, Krejci, and Horton in the top line. I think they're really pulling together finally. And I don't know, I still like the Bruins in the series.
I do too. I mean, especially Lucic. He's been really stepping up. Like even late in the last series against Philly, he was scoring goals too. But I mean, it's all about offense for them, really. I mean, you got to really just attack the defenders for the Lightning. But I mean, as long as you can cancel out the LeCav, Stamkos, and St. Louis trio with the defense, and then stepping up with the offense, you definitely have a very good shot to win the series. Yeah,
I have to disagree a little bit there with Milan Lucic. I don't know what you're saying. He had a nice pass to Krejci.
Compared to how he was doing in the early on, he's been doing a little better. Obviously, Sagan's been stepping up big time.
In Game 4 in Philly,
you give some credit.
In Game 4 in Philly, you can see what he was actually capable of. I mean, the guy scored 30 goals in the regular season. He is absolutely doing nothing. He's actually one of the slowest players on the ice for either team. But what Claude Julien's doing, sticking with his lines, I mean, stick with what works, I guess. So that line's working. You're all the way in the Eastern Conference Finals. You're winning. I guess you got to keep Lucic there. But, you know, I really like, I think with Bergeron back, I really like their chances. Marchand, I think his play has actually stepped up in the series after he was also an all-star for the first 2 series. I think his game is even stepping up even further. And Tim Thomas, what the Bruins want is they want a low-scoring game. If you notice in Game 2 when it was 7-5, that's how Tampa wants to play. They want to up the score. They want to put the pressure on us. And I didn't like the Bruins in that Game 2, and they really came up. And Thomas stood on his head for the final in the 3rd period, and he was dominating. In Game 3, you could really see what Thomas was doing. They won 2-0. Closure the end, would much rather win 2-0 than win 7-5. But it's good to see that the Bruins can win in either way. So I like the Bruins in the series. Guy Boucher is doing real good with the 1-3-1, but
I just got to say, I'm completely shocked in this series. I thought Tampa Bay was going to run away with this.
That's what everyone was saying, really. That was the main opinion of it. But
I thought they were going to win in 5.
Really holding their own. I mean, it's something about them, like the other 3 teams don't have. They just put it together all the certain.
You know what's weird? I almost feel more comfortable with the Bruins when they play away, when they play in Tampa. And I picked the Bruins to win in 6.
That was a huge game.
I said the Bruins win next game.
Needed that.
I said the win next game in Tampa, lose in Boston, win Game 6 in Tampa. That's all I think it's going to be.
All the away games, that's a stretch.
The thing is, when they're, the whole power play struggles. after they lose in the power play, you hear murmurs or whispers.
Yeah.
The power play sucks or Claude fired or something. There's some kind of chance. When you're away, you have no pressure on you. You can just let it go. Let your play speak for yourself, and I think it happens with Tampa too. And it's important to score first. When Krejci scored early, they were screwed.
True that.
All right, we're gonna move on now. It looks like, from what I'm seeing here, that the Sharks pretty much have this game wrapped up.
Yeah.
There's like 6 minutes left, and they're up 4-1. So,
Yeah.
so it looks like the series is gonna be 2-1 now. Thoughts on the series?
I think it's really good. I mean, the Sharks obviously keeping up with their offensive attack on the Canucks, really putting pressure on the Canucks this game. But I mean, overall, the Sedin brothers really been stepping up. I mean, Daniel scoring,
Especially game 2 too.
Yeah, especially and then Heinrich scoring, getting some assists in there. I mean, also Kessler's keeping up his thing too. He's just been a beast for them. I mean, it's like that third guy you need to step in when the other two aren't really doing their job, and he's been that. I mean, I still give the Sharks a chance. I think they got to hold serve at home, and obviously they have to take one to Vancouver if they're going to try to win this series. But I mean, I think they can do it. It's all a matter of can you hold the offensive arsenal from the Canucks too.
Yeah.
And you need Niemi to obviously outplay Luongo, Niemi's been playing pretty good in the series, but I mean, still, it's Luongo's ice, and you gotta give it to him right now.
The one thing the Sharks can look at is Antti Niemi has never lost a playoff series in his career. He won with the Blackhawks. I mentioned this last episode, but Peps just mentioned Ryan Kessler. Ryan Kessler right now would be my favorite to win the Conn Smythe. I think his play defensively and offensively has made him the best player in the game right now. I think Ryan Kessler facing off against Joe Thornton's a huge, huge matchup. I think Joe Thornton's playing really well right now. And he's very underrated defensively too. So when they're going at it, Kessler gets all the credit for being the best defensive player in the game. He's going to win. He's won the Selke. But going against Joe Thornton, that's a hell of a matchup. And I'd love to see Kessler go up against Patrice Bergeron, in my opinion, the two best defensive centers in the game. So, what Ryan Kessler's doing, what the Sedins did last game, Henrik Sedin, 3 assists, Daniel Sedin, 2 goals, and Luongo's playing out of his mind right now. So, I still like the Sharks, and I still like the Bruins. From when I said maybe 5 months ago I picked the Canucks versus the Bruins, I still like that. I like the Canucks right here in 5. So, and the Sedin's got to step up. And what they're doing right now is solid, but Ryan Kessler has put their team in the back. And without Ryan Kessler, they would not be in this position. So
don't quote me on
definitely
this.
Agree with that.
But I said there was going to be the Lightning in Canucks at the very beginning of the season.
Maybe. That was a bit bold.
Don't quote me on it, but
I also picked. We haven't talked to this. I put Bulls Thunder, Canucks Bruins.
You did.
4 out of 8.
Still in there.
Still.
I remember I did pick the Canucks because you were bashing me because I said I liked them in NHL in the game.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So,
but I picked them too.
Yeah.
It was like 5 months
I'll
ago.
stick with the
Rewind
Canucks.
the tape. It was like week 9.
Something like that. I don't know. But
I'll stick with the Canucks too in 5.
the Canucks in 5.
I like it.
All right. I'm gonna say 6.
All right.
Just give the Sharks another game. All right. So before we end this part, we want to throw the Red Sox in here a little bit. They're on a 6-game winning streak.
7 now.
7 now.
Wow.
And so that makes them 13-5 in May. Are they favorites against us?
Yeah, right now if the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs, and that says a lot for them. They were 0-6 to start the season, 2-10 to start the season, but in May, like you just said, they're 12-5. Carl Crawford, who has been horrible since they signed him, has 3 game-winning walk-offs in May. Adrian Gonzalez has stepped up and been the best hitter in May. And Josh Beckett, his resurgence this year has been huge for them. Buckholz has stepped up in April. He wasn't as good. May, he's dominating. Lester's just as good. And that trio of Lester, Beckett, and Buckholz is the best trio in the game. I don't care what Philly has. They are the best 3 with Beckett stepping up. But that offense, once they get Crawford rolling, and Ellsbury at the top, solid. Pedroia's right there. They're all hitting right now. And Terry Francona is the best coach, in my opinion, in sports midway through the season to get his team ready. And he keeps injuries out of the way. In sports.
That's a bold statement right there.
I think he did have a good amount of stuff handed to him in a way.
Terry Francona is a little bit overrated.
You expect him to come out of
Terry Francona is a little bit overrated by the way he pulls out his lineup card. But you saying what he did with Dustin Pedroia, he stuck with them. People were pulling for Alex Cora to take over Dustin Pedroia's spot. But right in this April-May situation, if he starts losing, other coaches would start getting pissed at his players. Maybe there's talks about trades. No, he gets his team lifted, and I think he's the best player at that and can actually score.
My biggest problem with Francona is the fact he doesn't know when to take a pitcher out. He seems to leave them in like an inning too.
Yeah, that's the kind of things he's overrated for. But
yeah,
similarly
true,
with
but I
Doc
mean, I
Rivers to
think
the
it's like
Celtics, he tries to be the players' friends, and I think that really helps for him.
Yeah.
And two captains I can clearly see for the Red Sox are Dustin Pedroia off the field and Adrian Gonzalez leading by example on the field. I think those are their two best players by far, and in May they're really showing.
I mean, it's really good. I mean, like Crawford and Gonzalez finally coming out of their things. Not that like Gonzalez was ever really doing that bad.
No.
Especially Crawford.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a few game-winning hits earlier in the early season too. But I mean, finally for him to come out and really show that he still has it. I mean, obviously you're paying him $144 million to do something. I mean, it's good, and the pitching's definitely increased since the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Beckett, I mean, he's just coming out of nowhere, like you were saying. And then, I mean,
and
I think the problem is, though, Lackey.
Well, Lackey and Daisuke are both in the DL, so I think that benefits them. Right now they have Aceves coming back into the starting rotation. I think he's pitched real well in relief, so I like that move. And I don't like the Kevin Millwood move, but I like depth. I will talk about that later in the show.
It was only a minor league contract, though.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I like with the pitching. Terry Francona is doing great at spacing. That big sweep against the Yankees was huge. And against the Yankees, they had Buchholz, Beckett, and Lester going, so that was huge. I think that was big turning point in the season right now. And I like what the Red Sox are doing. 24-20. It's good stuff.
Yeah, the fact that they were facing Cologne and Garcia kind of helped a little bit, but still, either way, it's a good spark for them.
And Papelbon, too. I think Papelbon's showing up this year.
Oh, you guys want to jump into some emails?
Sure.
All right. Want to stick with the Red Sox here?
Let's go.
All right. So Jack from San Antonio asks, what do you think of Beckett this year?
Yeah, I think we just talked about that. The guy is sub-2 ERA. I think right now, if the All-Star game started, I think not only should he be there, I think he should be the All-Star game starter. His stuff is that good. He's got his strikeouts up. His velocity's up at 95, 96. And he's got that big composure back that he had back in 07. I really like what Beckett's doing.
I agree. It's kind of good because it's like a motivational boost because it's like, you kind of feel like, the last few seasons I've lost it. After winning those like big 3 games, like pretty much on his own in Cleveland in the 07 finals, the American League Conference Final Championship, and he's just done those guys correct, but he's been really good for them lately.
Yeah. Go back since 03. If you look at the odd years, he's been very good. I don't know if this is a coincidence.
It's kind of like the Spurs.
Yeah. Even years, he's terrible. In odd years, he's absolutely dominating. And I don't think he's going to be... All I want him to be is back like his 09 Beckett. He doesn't have to be 07 Beckett. That would be great. But 09 Beckett, that'd be fine.
See, my biggest problem with Beckett is he had that back injury. And it's one of those injuries.
Yeah, he's injury prone.
It's one of those injuries that doesn't go away. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you have to keep watch on.
If you can keep Beckett all the way to the All-Star game without him going to the DL, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
One thing, too, with Beckett for fantasy, I would trade him right now.
I would, too.
Just get him off your team.
I got Brian Wilson for him. If you can get Brian Wilson a closer or another starting pitcher and an offensive player, that'd be huge.
Yeah. And one thing I'd say, like with the Terry Francona thing with Doc Rivers in a way, is like kind of like a motivator though. I mean, you think, like you were saying, even though he's overrated, you think maybe without Francona, maybe Beckett couldn't have gotten back some of that motivation spark to do this good.
He's very easygoing. Yeah, he sticks with his players. So yeah.
All right, now jumping back to the NHL, Peter from New York asks, who is the best forward on Vancouver and Boston? Now, I'm not sure if he means on each team or out of both.
I'll go with
both teams. But why don't you guys both do each team and then pick your favorite out of those?
All right. A couple weeks ago, I said Daniel Sedin was the best player in the game. I still think he's top 5. But as far as playoffs goes, and he might even be better than this player. But as far as playoffs goes for Vancouver, Ryan Kesler has been the best player on the planet, best American player, I'd say best world player. Since the playoffs have started. Defensively, he's the best player there is. Offensively, he's top 5. Put that together. I think he's the best player on the planet.
He's player.
And in Boston, I think it's Patrice Bergeron. Patrice Bergeron's finally back. He's kind of like a poor man's Ryan Kesler, but the Bruins have a lot of depth, and that's why they're still in it. I'd go Patrice Bergeron. Face-offs is huge. You look at Vancouver, last game, Henrik Sedin, 5 face-offs won. Ryan Kesler, 16 face-offs won. You look at last game, Patrice Bergeron had almost double anybody else for centers on Bruins for faceoffs won. Those two things are huge, and you can see it in last game that Patrice Bergeron's the best player on the ice.
I really love disagreeing with you, but this is the one time I'm not going to disagree with you at all.
I don't really know how you do disagree
I don't
with
know,
that.
especially with Kessler too. I mean, I have to say I'd pick him to be my favorite over the two. You know, I think Bergeron coming in is like
Kessler's
really.
better.
Yeah, I know, but I think Bergeron was like the big impact that they needed to like.
He's
really
more of an
overcome the
MVP
Lightning.
for his team.
Yeah.
Like, he means more to his team, I think, than Kessler does, just because the Lightning have a lot of really top players on their team.
The thing of it is, Vancouver, the question was who was the best player on the team. Bergeron is not as good as Kessler, but But there's really three players. It's the Sedins and Kessler for Vancouver as the forwards.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about the Bruins, the reason why they're still in it is they're a defensive team, and on offense they're very loaded. You look down the line, Krejci, Lucic, Marchand, Sagan, Horton, Ryder, they're absolutely loaded. Vancouver doesn't have that kind of depth. So if you took them and switched, I don't think Vancouver would be where they are. So I'd have to say Kessler is a little bit more important.
All right.
Can't disagree with that. And by the way, it's 4-3 Sharks right now.
4-3 now?
4-3
Oh, wow.
with 3.5 minutes ago.
Wow, yeah, it was 4-1 like 2 minutes ago. So, I don't know, maybe it could be 3. Yeah, we'll see.
You just scored Kessler?
Bieksa,
what's
Burrows.
else? And I have no idea who that is. Hamuis?
Hamuis.
Okay. Never even heard of him, but yeah, we'll keep you updated on that score too. I'm sure you guys will know it by the time this is up, but yeah. So that's the end of the first part of the pitch. See you in a few minutes.